Both Texas basketball programs are heating up at just the right time as March Madness is around the corner. Texas baseball dominated season opener, and the softball team continues to steamroll with multiple run rule victories. All of that and much more coming up next on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome back to College Press Box. I'm Bradston Swick, hosting with Kate Amon tonight. Before we get started, we want to remind you that College Press Box is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this week's game at capmetro.org. On Saturday, Texas traveled to Columbia, Missouri to take on the Tigers, and man did they deliver one of their most complete second halves of the season, finding a much-needed win while on the road in front of more than 15,000 at Mizzou Arena. And from the jump, it was modest Vocatitis who got Texas on the board early with a pair of strong finishes in the paint. But Missouri answered right back, led by Mark Mitchell and Jaden Stone. It was a back-and-forth battle all night with 10 lead changes and 9 ties throughout the game, and it seemed like both teams struggled to create separation. Despite shooting just 37% in the first half, Texas stayed in control thanks to crucial rebounds and attacking inside the paint, with the help of Vocatitis, who did a great job this game protecting the rim and putting up 19 points, anchoring Texas's 40-28 advantage in the paint. And with about 5 minutes left, Dalen Swain drilled a nice three-pointer, shifting momentum back towards Texas. Then in the final seconds, Tremont Mark converted a layup and then a free throw with 1 second left, giving Texas a 33-31 halftime lead. Coming out of the break, the Longhorns flipped the switch, snapping away from the Tigers, shooting 61% from the field and shooting nearly perfectly at the free throw line. And it was Swain who led the offense in this game, totaling 25 points and shooting 9 for 16, helping Texas break away from the Tigers midway through the second half. The Longhorns kept themselves on their feet till the buzzer and walked out of Mizzou Arena, extending their lead by 13 points and overwhelming the Tigers 85-68, finding themselves another pivotal conference win. What a week it has been for the men's team, but now let's move over to women's basketball, who find themselves another ranked win over number 18 Kentucky last week. Our very own Parker Keaston was at the Moody Center covering the game. Let's take a look.
The Kentucky defense held the Texas Longhorns on lock tonight here at the Moody Center with a final score of 64-53. Justice Carlton was the superstar of tonight's game with 12 points scored in the first quarter alone. However, that momentum didn't really continue throughout the rest of the game. While the Longhorns held the lead for the majority of the game, they couldn't really mobilize on offense, so it was a very defensive-heavy battle. Let's see what Coach Vic Schaefer had to say about Carlton's performance tonight.
Again, I thought Justice was really good offensively. She got us off to a great start, and obviously the three she makes in the fourth quarter was really big. And so we got to be better. I've got to be better. I've got to do a better job getting my team ready.
At the start of the second half, number 11 Justice Carlton passes the ball to number 7 Jordan Lee, whose missed layup leads to a Texas turnover. Texas number 25 Brea Cunningham forces a Kentucky turnover. Carlton steals the ball, passes to number 3 Rory Harmon, who drives down the court, then passes to Lee, who sinks a 3 into the net. A Kentucky player pushes Carlton for another turnover before the Wildcats take it down court. Evidently, turnovers were the biggest storyline in this game, as Texas had 16 turnovers to Kentucky's 23 throughout the entire game. Kentucky then turns the ball over to Lee, who passes up to Harmon, whose missed shot gives the Wildcats the rebound. The Wildcats also beat out the Longhorns in rebounds. Number 0, Kyla Oldacre's shot in the paint goes into the basket. The Longhorns passed the ball around the court. Both teams would often go minutes without scoring across all 4 quarters. While Coach Schaefer earlier brought up Carlton's clutch three-pointer in the fourth, Texas only went 3 for 14 on threes throughout the game. Harmon sinks a 3. Oldacre then catches a Kentucky turnover ball out of the air. From the Moody Center, this is Parker Keston.
Great coverage, Parker. Now let's send it over to Kate with a special guest for more.
Thanks, Bradston. I'm here with Tyler Stremple to talk more about Texas basketball. Welcome, Tyler. How are you doing tonight?
You know, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be back on College Press Box to talk about what's kind of been a pretty good week in Texas basketball overall.
All right, well, let's start with the women's side. How has Coach Schaefer's team been performing this week?
Yeah, it's been a so-so week. Last Thursday, Texas went out and lost by 16 against fifth-ranked Vanderbilt, the biggest loss in the regular season in years. And even as Madison Booker was able to put up 20, Brea Cunningham 14, and more, the Texas defense succumbed to Vanderbilt's high-powered offense, specifically Michaela Blake's, the nation's #1 scorer, who scored 34. Vanderbilt had 31 defensive rebounds to Texas's 19, and Vanderbilt had a 51% field goal percentage and a 47% three-point percentage. Coach Schaefer after the game said that his team has no heart and is the softest team he's had in years, and while harsh, Texas has seemed tired lately going into the season's end stages. Texas was able to then squeak out a 65-63 win against 22nd ranked Tennessee to bounce back with the help of Madison Booker's 14 and Roy Harmon and Jordan Lee's 12-point performances. Now they're 24-3. They've got 4 games left, and if they can get some last-minute energy in them, they can still very much contend for a 1 seed in March.
Wow, what a phrase by Coach Schaefer, but there are some fun games ahead for sure. Now let's go to the men's side. Tyler, how has Coach Miller's squad been doing?
The men's side added to their streak, making it 4 straight wins thanks to that 85-68 win against Missouri on the road. Dalen Swain, this week's SEC Men's Basketball Co-Player of the Week, yet again a bright spot, 25 points to his name. Matas Vokatitis had 19, Jordan Pope had 15, and it was a overall really good night offensively for the Horns, especially that second half. 48% field goal shooting, 91% free throw percentage, along with a 35% three-point percentage. 14 offensive and 22 defensive rebounds helped the Horns out-rebound Missouri a total of 36-26. Texas, over the last 4 games, have outscored opponents by a minimum of 9, and their offense seems to be finding a groove now, possibly at the perfect time. Texas's final 6 games include games against 12th-ranked Florida and 20th-ranked Arkansas, which are going to be huge results come March.
Speaking of March, as we get closer and closer, where do you think each team will slot in the selection?
That's a great question. We're going to start with the women, who logically probably can't get a lower seed than 2. And with the latest AP poll holding them rock steady at 4, it's very likely that they can get a 1 seed. If they can win out and not get completely embarrassed at the SEC tournament, they're going to have a great shot at that 1 seed. The men are a little more complicated. They sit at 16-9 currently with a 7-5 conference record. Now, they have name recognition, they have an improving offense, and they have the benefit of the doubt of playing in the SEC, which means if Texas can win all the easier games, all the non-ranked games, and take even just one of the ranked matchups, Texas right now looks primed for at least a first 4 matchup, maybe even an outright 11 seed. Win both ranked games and all the easy games, get up to 10. Lose both ranked games, kind of a toss-up, but if you lose the games you're supposed to win, then basically they just have to plan on hosting an NIT game here at the Moody Center. But these final 6 games, so very important. They're the difference between a possible underdog run in the tournament or another possible NIT championship.
Wow, great work, Tyler. Now let's send it back to Bradston at the desk.
Solid work, Kate and Tyler. When College Press Box returns, we'll take a look into Texas baseball and their dominant start to their season. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Now for more analysis on how the Longhorns performed in their season opening weekend series against UC Davis. Our very own Aiden Urbach was at the opening game this Friday. Let's check out what he had to say.
Just as the UT faithful packed in the seats, so did this UT men's baseball ball club by a score of 12-2 against the UC Davis Aggies to cap off their first game of this 3-part series here Friday night in Dish Field. It was a complimentary win through and through, from the fielding all the way to the pitching to the hitting. With a game like this and a win like this, Omaha is in the near future.
The energy inside Dish Field was electric Friday night as the stadium was rocking, fans were roaring, and the stands were shaking, setting the tone for opening night baseball here in Austin, Texas. The matchup marked year 2 of the Jim Schlossnagle era here on the 40 Acres, a program carrying sky-high immeasurable expectations and a clear mission, which is to return to Omaha for the first time in 4 seasons. But before the 2025 SEC regular season champions could begin that journey, they first had to face a familiar face in the opposing dugout, that of UC Davis skipper Tommy Nicholson, who wore burnt orange from 1998 to 2000, returned to the 40 Acres, though his welcome back was anything but warm. Texas unleashed an offensive barrage, playing 12 runs before the 8th inning and overwhelming the Aggies early. Coming into the season, Schlossnagle signed the #1 recruiting class in the nation, bringing in 24 newcomers, including 14 freshmen. And one freshman in particular made an immediate impact Anthony Pack Jr. of Southern California, making his debut in the starting lineup at right field, wasted no time ripping a double across the left field center for his first collegiate hit in his very first at-bat, driving in Texas' second hit of the night. Pack followed with two more hits, including a single up the right field side that brought home Wichita State transfer Josh Livingstone and former Notre Dame standout Carson Tenney. On the mound, Texas pitching opened the gate on a shaking ground. UC Davis connected on its first three at-bats, pushing across a run in the top of the first. But Longhorn senior ace Roger Rojas quickly settled in. The Wimberley native found his command early, retiring the next 10 straight batters while striking out 9 UC Davis hitters in a dominant outing. The Longhorns offense continued to deliver the fireworks. Aiden Robbins provided the game's first major momentum swing with a 3-run blast in the bottom of the third, and Ethan Mendoza sealed the night with a 3-run shot in the 7th, triggering the NCAA's 10-run mercy rule. In the end, Jim Schlossnagel's squad takes Game 1 of the 3-game series, kicking off an 8-game homestand before traveling to Houston for the Bruce Bowl Classic. Live from a quiet dish field here in Austin, Texas, I'm Aiden Erbach. Back to you.
Great work, Aiden. Now let's send it to Bradston, who's with our next analysis.
Thanks, Kate. I'm with Joaquin Alvarez to talk more about Texas baseball, who just recently played in their season opener. Welcome to the show, Joaquin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good today, Bradston. I'm really excited to talk about this men's baseball team and their dominant opening weekend that they had.
So, Joaquin, just talk us through the opening day for the Longhorns and how they performed in their first game of the season.
Opening day for the Longhorns at UFC Disch-Falk Field was filled with excitement as the Longhorns have a lot of expectations coming up this season, being ranked number 3 in the nation. Roger Rojas would get the opening day start for the Longhorns, and after a rough first inning, he would proceed to dominate the strike zone and farm Ks with his elite fastball. The third inning is when the Longhorns would wake up as an offense. Adrian Rodriguez got the ball rolling with an RBI single, and then Aiden Robbins would launch a 2-run blast to make the game 3-1 in the third inning. After more pitching dominance by Rojas, the fifth inning would lead to even more runs for the Horns as Robbins gets his third RBI of the game with an RBI double with the bases loaded. Becerra would draw a walk to bring in another run, and then Pack Jr. with a single to the right side brought home 2 more runs for the Longhorns, making it 7-1. Fast forward to the 7th and last inning of the ball game, the Longhorns would put up 5 more runs with a big hit from Ethan Mendoza to bring in 3 of those 5 runs. The final score was 12-2, giving the Horns a dominant opening day win.
It was really good to see the Longhorns come out the gates with such a big win in the opener. But let me ask you, who do you think was the pitcher of the series for the Longhorns?
Well, when you look at all 3 of the games, there was only one pitcher who didn't struggle in the first and had a no-hitter through 5 and a third innings of play. Dylan Volantis was my pitcher of the series. As the 2025 Baseball American National and SEC Freshman of the Year went for 7 innings with 8 strikeouts and only let up 1 hit and walk on the bump. This was the longest outing of Dylan's career, and he spent most of last year being a closer for the Longhorns. We know how good Dylan's sinker is, but with his new off-speed pitch in his wheelhouse, the sophomore has a ton of potential to make this type of outing a regular thing. With him being the third starter for the Longhorns, it creates a really fun position for Texas to be in, with having Volantis potentially being the guy that decides the results of a series.
Volantis was straight up nasty on Sunday, but now let me ask you about the position players. Which of them was the dog of the series?
This was a really tough question for me to answer because there's really 3 great options. You have Anthony Pack Jr., who is currently leading the team in batting average. You also have Ethan Mendoza, who is leading the team in RBIs and home runs. But for me, when I think of a dog, I think of plays like this. Look at the hustle and awareness from Aiden Robbins on this play right here. He saw the wobbly throw to second by the catcher and knew that it was the perfect time to steal not only home, but a run for the Longhorns. And nothing fires the team up more than stealing home. The whole opening series, he was coming up big for the Longhorns and even kickstarted the offense on opening day. Players who understand the game well enough and are confident in their abilities enough to make plays like that are the type of players that every team needs. For those reasonings, he is the dog of the series.
Well, that'll do it from here. Thank you for joining us again, Joaquin. And back to you, Kate.
Thanks, Bradston and Joaquin. When College Press Box return, we'll talk about how Texas softball destroyed all competition this past weekend. Keep it here on College Press Box.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Texas softball is on fire right now, riding a current 7-game win streak after an amazing performance this weekend in the Bevo Classic over teams like Syracuse, Ohio State, and NIU. Let's send it over to Kate for more on how the Longhorns got it done.
Thanks again, Bradston. I'm here with Brynlie to recap the softball team. How's it going, Brynlie?
It's going great, Kate. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about this recap of Texas softball this past weekend at the Bevo Classic.
Yeah, the Texas softball team had an incredible weekend hosting the Bevo Classic at McCombs Field. The Longhorns started the weekend off with a dominating 11-0 win over Abilene Christian University. Senior Reese Atwood broke the program career home run record with 59 home runs this weekend. On Friday, the Longhorns played an exciting doubleheader where they run-ruled both Ohio State and Syracuse for the second night of the Bevo Classic. Texas played only 5 innings against Ohio State before ending the game with a score of 14-6. Senior Reese Atwood had yet another dominating game where she hit 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. The Longhorns went on to play Syracuse with a shutout score of 14-0. Sophomore pitchers Cambria Salmon and Brynlie Gonzalez both played a huge role in the 3-hit shutout versus Syracuse this weekend.
This year's team is truly incredible to watch, and there's so many stars on this team. How did the rest of the Classic go for the Longhorns?
The Longhorns went on to play another doubleheader again on Sunday, with their first game being against Ohio State. This game went just as before, where the Longhorns once again got the win. Hannah Wells hit her 3rd home run of the season. The best part is that all 3 of Wells' collegiate hits have gone on to be a home run. The Longhorns ended the game with a score of 7-4. Junior Tegan Caven had a season high of 12 strikeouts versus the Northern Illinois Huskies to end off the Bevo Classic. Texas scored 5 runs in just 6 innings. Freshman J.C. Nichols hit her first career home run to help the Longhorns secure yet another run-ruled win against the Huskies. The game ended with a score 9-1 to end off the Bevo Classic.
The reigning national champions are already off to an incredible start. Do you think they can make another championship run this season?
This softball team is ranked number 2 for a reason, and it showed this weekend. The Longhorns recorded 4 run-ruled victories this weekend at the Bevo Classic. As the schedule starts to get more difficult, the Longhorns are still expected to perform just as they have been. Kate, I wouldn't be surprised if this team ends up winning back-to-back national championships.
Oh, I can completely agree with you, Brynlie. Now let's go back to the desk with Bradston.
Thanks, Kate and Brynlie. When we return to College Press Box, we'll take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports and see what's ahead. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to College Press Box. Let's take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports.
Sophia Atkinson sets program record for 3,000-meter run at the time of 9 minutes, 4 seconds, and 40 milliseconds at the David Henry Invitational this past weekend. The record was 39 years old and was previously set by Annie Schweitzer in 1987, but Atkinson shaved off over 3.5 seconds. Way to go, Atkinson.
7 Texas football players were invited to the 2026 NFL Combine, which the NFL released on Wednesday morning. The list of Longhorns include offensive lineman DJ Campbell, tight end Jack Hendries, linebackers Trey Moore and Anthony Hill Jr., and defensive backs Jalen Gilbo, Malik Muhammad, and Michael Taff. This opportunity gives these players a chance to get on the radar of NFL scouts ahead of the draft.
Reese Atwood set Texas' home run record on February 12th, hitting her 59th home run against Abilene Christian in the first game of the Bevo Classic tournament. The record was held by Taylor Hoagland, hit 58 home runs in 2010 to 2013. As today, she is sitting at 61 home runs with hitting 2 against Ohio State to keep the number rising.
Now let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. On Tuesday, baseball will be taking on Lamar at 5 p.m. This will be on SEC Network Plus. Also on Tuesday, men's basketball will be facing LSU at 8 p.m. This will be on SEC Network. On Thursday, women's basketball travel to Arkansas at 6:30 p.m. This will be on SEC Network Plus. And on Friday, baseball will go against Michigan State on SEC Network Plus. Also on Friday, softball will be playing in Day Marini Invitational. On Saturday, men's basketball will travel to Georgia at 2:30. This will be on SEC Network. And finally, on Sunday, women's basketball will face off against Mississippi State at 1 p.m. on SEC Network.
And that concludes this week's edition of College Press Box. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please make sure to tune into our other sports shows this week, including College Crossfire Wednesdays airing at 9 p.m. and the 1-0 Sports Show on Fridays at 11 a.m. Also, we invite you to follow our coverage on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube at the handle TSTV Sports. Thank you to our analysts, everyone in Master Control, our fill and executive producer, Nolan Clay, and all our reporters in TSTV Sports. I'm Kate Amon. He's Bradston Swick. Thank you for watching and have a good night.